We are live. Welcome, everybody, to this week's live stream. I'm going to bring Ross in, and we can get started with this. As you guys come in, just go ahead and let us know where you're coming from. Hey, Ross, where you're tuning in from, so we kind of get an idea of our global reach. We love to hear from where people are, even if you're here multiple times, just so we know that you are in attendance. And then also remember that if you are not a part of the group, that it's important to jump on that group and answer those questions in the group. The link is running on the bottom here all the time. We'll drop the link in the chat as well very soon. And throughout the talk, we got Florida coming in. You're all set to come in now. That's great. And today's show, you're going to want to stick around. We're going to show you how to master any emotion in just 7 days. So the hack we're going to give you is one you do not want to miss, because with all the stuff going on and the turmoil that's happening on the planet in different ways, if you've had any struggle, if you've been in any place where you felt that your emotions got the better of you, if you've been at a place where you don't know what's going on, it's like overwhelm, or like a flutter of emotions that's hard to kind of get a grip on, then the hack we have for you today, it's going to give you a truly life-changing experience. It's a real life changer, right?
Yes.
So let's see. Oh, we got Austria. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Mary and Elise. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, if anybody gets a chance, Mary posted a poem. I think it was this morning on the group page. Mary, that was amazing. So go and look for her post. It was a beautiful. It really kind of got down to the essence of the Infinity Matrix, and
Nice.
it was beautiful. So I strongly recommend it. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. That was beautiful.
That's awesome. All right, we got Rome in the house. We got Mexico City in the house. Awesome. Where else y'all coming from? Also, if it's your first time, just go ahead and type in hashtag first time, just so we know and can welcome you in as a collective group. And for those of you that are the regulars, there we go, from Denmark. For those of you that are regulars, and those of you that are hooked on hacking, when someone new comes in, let's invite them. Let's warmly invite them and welcome them in and say hi to them and make them feel like a part of the community. We want to continue to grow the community, even though we're growing at a pretty good rate. We want to make sure that everybody comes in. And so if you guys can kind of just, chime in and just say, welcome to the group, or, help them out if they have questions based on past streams that we've done. If you are new here, and you're not on our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Infinity Matrix. If you're not there watching this or a part of that and watching this wherever else we're streaming it, please jump on the group, because we are in the process of starting to roll out some group-specific content. And if you want to be a part of our VIP, which is going to be even more exclusive type content and bonuses and gifts and giveaways and all that kind of stuff, then when you get into the group, answer the questions that are there. If you don't answer the questions, the system automatically boots you, so you won't get the stuff that we're going to put just there. And the third question allows you to have the option to jump onto the VIP. So make sure you do that if you do. Once again, if you're just coming in just now, today we're going to give you a hack that's it's really a pretty powerful one. It's one I've created, and it's kind of a combination of a variety of different change technologies and kind of blended into this one process. And it's going to show you how to master any emotion in just 7 days. Not all emotions, but any emotion. And then you can practice all the other emotions, because we're doing micro hacks here, right? And so if you stick around, We're going to show you how to deal with any, like if you've had any struggle, especially in the last year, right, with all the stuff that's gone on, and potentially it's not going to change a whole lot in the near future anyways. On the side of ease, it seems like we're going to continue to go through some more of this turmoil, and so we feel that it's really important to kind of start the year off with giving you a tool for that. Hey, Julie from UK, first time, welcome in. And Lynn, welcome here. Denmark, got a couple from Denmark. Wow, okay, that's awesome.
I'll tell you, Gary, we are having more and more people inviting their friends. When I'm going through the invitation request, I'm seeing more and more invited by this person, and it means that we're hitting the mark. That people are like, this is so good, I need to share this with my friends. So please do.
And if you do, remind them when they get to the group to fill those, otherwise they don't get a part of the group. You got to remind them about those questions, right?
Exactly.
And VIP is not mandatory, it's optional, but you do need to fill the questions out so we know that you're going to be an active participant, not just an observer from the sidelines.
Exactly. And also let's remind them about that little Facebook glitch.
Which one is that?
As far as the list.
Oh yeah, for the VIPs. Yeah, we're still working on that. Hopefully we'll tweak that out. So if you are on VIP, we do have some stuff to send to you. But Facebook is, well, we all know it's got its issues. And one of them was that it doesn't allow us to get access to all of our VIP info. Currently, it doesn't allow us to access all of our VIP contact info to send out the stuff that we have, because we do have something ready to go for you, which we did a few streams back. And so it's on its way. We promise it. We'll set it up. We just got to do some things in the back end, some techie stuff to get it available for you to get access to it. And it just may not show up the way that we wanted to initially do it. So be patient with us. And when we have that ready, we'll let everybody know. And if you are a part of VIP and you don't get it, then you can ask us and we'll make sure you do get it.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah. So again, Ross, I always love to hear the testimonials and the stories and the things that you pull out from the page. And I didn't get a chance to read Mary's poem yet today because getting kids to school and stuff, but was there anything else you wanted to share?
Make sure you read that. I actually should have thought about actually pulling it up and reading it, but that's on a whole other screen. So, and I'm just not Mr. Technical Savvy like you are. But anyhow, so another Mary writes that being more active in my role regarding my external environment, this hack touched my soul and has pared down, and she's pared down some of her Facebook interactions. And my peace is so much more important. I feel lighter already. Getting through the older units and activating the hacks as well. So, oh my God, I'm loving it. Thank you, Gary and Ross. So again, what Gary said earlier is that, go into the units tab at the top of the group page if you've missed a live stream, and go all the way back to number one. Number one is really what it should be, not recommended. I mean, it should be mandatory viewing, because that's where we kind of tell you, we give you the essence of where we're going with this and what exactly the infinity matrix is and how it operates. So, and then Stephen says, I didn't know what to think about this group. But when I started listening to the recordings, I couldn't stop. You guys are amazing.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. Thanks, Stephen, if you're on or if you come on later.
Exactly. So it's I can't remember what's it called when people watch a series on Netflix or something. They're
binging. Yeah.
So he was binging us. So this is we're binge worthy. I like that. I think
that's awesome.
We should put that in our marketing somewhere.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally. Season 1.
Exactly.
We talked about that, right? So yeah,
we did.
Definitely an idea for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. We do.
All right. Okay, so do you want to get you had an experience that ultimately became today's topic. Can you tell everyone about it? Because I think it's, if they get some kind of background on it, it kind of sets the tone and pace for why we're
Exactly.
doing what we're going to do today.
Right. So, how this all transpired was, a few days ago, I was talking with somebody. This wasn't a friend. This is somebody I just met, and so I was talking with this person earlier in the week, and she didn't know me. She didn't know who I am, nor did she know, Gary, or the work that the two of us do. And obviously she brought up the topic of the current state of world affairs. And I was kind of like, well, it seems like no one just wants to talk about the weather anymore. How when you meet a stranger, oh, what do you think of this weather? No, we went straight in for the meat. So just so you know, I don't talk about the infinity matrix to everyone I meet. And what I try to do is I want to get a feel from where they are in life and determine if they're ready to absorb the level of intense information that we offer. So I prefer to just plant seeds, seeds of hope. And otherwise, and we've all experienced this, it just falls on deaf ears. You can just watch them; their gaze just kind of go off, and they start looking around. It's like, okay, this person isn't ready for this. So, anyhow, um, so we chatted for a while, and then something just odd happened. Her voice it began to break, and she paused, and she had to compose herself. And then she told me how scared she was. And then she asked me what she should do. A stranger. I'm a stranger to her. And she's asking me, what should I do about all this? And sometimes we meet people who are sincere in their fears, and then there's others who simply crave the attention. And this person was definitely sincere. And so uh, I asked her, I said, well, what exactly, are you scared of? And she says, I'm scared of everything: the virus, the economy, the protesters, and now the riots at the Capitol. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And some of you have experienced my response when you've used the words everything or nothing. And in my opinion, they're two terrifying, all encompassing words that, when used wrong, can bring total terror to a person's imagination. And that's really what it is. This is the imagination running rampant. So keep in mind, and this is really important, keep in mind that the body and the mind cannot differentiate between a real experience and an imagined one. So a lot of research has shown that biologically, the body reacts to reliving of an experience as if it were actually happening. And as all things, this has a good side and a bad side. And we're not going to go deep into that right now, but as we progress here in today's show, you're going to start to understand why what Gary was saying earlier, it's crucial for your mental health and your physical health that you get control of the emotions, especially the fear emotions and anger emotions that are triggered by what's going on in society today, because they're not necessary. And but we understand where you're coming from. So anyhow, getting back to it, so I asked her. I says, "You're afraid of everything?" And she's like, "Yes." I says, "You're afraid of me? Somehow you drove here? Are you afraid of driving? The door to the store, did it slam on you when you came in? Are you afraid of it? I mean, this is like, how are you going to get home? And at this particular point, this is the part that I like the best. At this particular point, her body language was telling me that I'd kind of hit the limit that I could push on her. Okay, but there's a reason for this. And I do this because sometimes I need to take the absurdity of the original comment, the everything or the nothing, But in this case, it was the everything. I take the absurdity that it can't be everything. And I take that and I show her the opposite absurdity as well. So in most cases, it will balance out and kind of brings the subject back to a plane where we can communicate on equal footing. Okay, when someone says everything, it's just like I was saying, this does it, and this does it, and this does it. They're like, well, of course not. I said, well, then it's not everything. But in her mind, it was everything. In her imagination, it was everything. So I wanted to bring her back to, a logical plane of like, okay, now we can talk, because now it's not everything. So from there, I explained to her the problem of speaking in such generalities and how one's imagination is more happy is happy as heck to fill in those blanks. So when you say everything, it's going to go, oh, okay, everything. Oh, there's that. There's a shadow over there. Look at that. Oh, that car's coming. I know it's a mile away, but it's going to hit you. I mean, this is where the imagination can be taken. And I'm not really exaggerating this at all. It can happen. So we established a common ground, and we began to define the genuine fears that she was experiencing one by one. So when I asked her the one final question, like, how has any of these fears affected you today, right now, this very minute? Type in below what you think her answer was. How have any of these fears affected you today, right now, this very minute? Tell me what you think. I know you didn't think there was going to be a test today, but it's how it works.
And there's a delay. We'll have to wait for to bring it in.
Okay, so with everything coming down on us and the entire world about to collapse, we're going to show you how to flow through these turbulent times with the emotional power that you have within the infinity matrix. So you see, her perception wasn't wrong. Her perception wasn't wrong because it was her perception. But it was very misaligned or out of balance with her true being. That's why she was getting scared. So with the current events that have transpired recently and compounded with ongoing events from the last year, many but not all people are losing the will to persevere. And even though Gary and I have taught many of you to observe and reframe the messaging around yourselves, we think we need to present more information regarding the handling of these negative fears. And they may or may not be affecting the quality of your life. But I'm going to pretty much lean to it that they are affecting it. And you may not even realize it. There might just be this tension in your life. There might just be this cloud that just seems to be going wherever you go. Okay, the cloud's not really there. It's here. It's in your imagination. So there's many variations of emotions that seem most prevalent today. And you have anger, you have fear, desperation, frustration, confusion. Gary, did I get them all?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
If anybody can think of another one, put it down in the comments. But I think those are pretty much the ones that everybody is experiencing at this particular point.
Those are I think there's some umbrella ones for sure. And I think it's, we'll talk about this a little bit later as well, that the definitions we give for how we feel is really important, because like you said, they can contain so many things that are not necessarily just that one thing, but it's all these other things, and then we just link it to that one, right? And that gives us less power of control over it, because if we're trying to deal, for example, with anger, and under anger they have sadness as a part of anger, and they have all these other little things as a part of that, but then they're trying to deal with the anger, and it's the sadness they needed to deal with, or it's this. And so it's the clarity of that, which is part of what we're going to go through with the hack today. But definitely, those are some good umbrella ones for what people are currently, and because of world events, are feeling definitely in North America anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So, so most people, they feel this primal anger, and it only lasts 15 seconds. It seems like an eternity to you, but it's only 15 seconds. If it goes beyond that, then it begins to transform into other emotions, as Gary was just saying. And that's usually going to be somewhere around self-judgment. Okay, when we break it down, and Gary and I are all about getting to the root of the problem. And what we're talking about now are symptoms of the problem. We want to get to the root. So nevertheless, it's a reaction, and reactions are somewhat normal. Okay, this is fine. Don't beat yourself up because you got angry. That's fine. And as we've said in live stream number 3, you're going to observe, you're going to interpret, and you're going to respond. We want to get away from the reactionary, because the reactionary is what is catching everybody. So calming the primal anger is really just a resonance misalignment. But you have to be in the right frame of mind to correct it, or for that matter, avoid it. Okay, information in, let me look at it, as opposed to information in, reacting, being all mad. How dare he say that? How dare she do this? Or how dare this? Whatever, and such. And a lot of this is coming from just total strangers too. So we're allowing people we don't really even know to do this. So when you are beginning the watching, the listening, or the reading of something, do not assume you will feel in resonance with it. Ask yourself, am I aligned with this or am I not? And if you are, then proceed. If you're not, proceed with caution or stop altogether. And there is many, many times that I may be watching something or I'll be reading something and I'm like, I don't like where the direction that this is going. It's not that I don't agree with it, but if I'm watching the news or I'm watching some sort of a movie, or not a movie, a video of some sort, and I see that they're steering this into the sky is falling, I'm like, this is, Gary, what do you call it? Clickbait kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Is this like, oh, I just have to see this. What's going on? What's going on? It's like, no, I don't need to see it. That's my choice. Okay, so here's what happens. In that moment, all you need to know is that it's going to last 15 seconds. And in that time, your mammalian brain will react to those very long 15 seconds. And beyond that, now the frontal lobe takes over and starts assigning past definitions. And they take effect, and then they define the moment, generally turning it into fear, anger, frustration, despair, etc. Then the mammalian brain continues to learn from the event. That's what it does. And it is repeated over and over and over in the imagination. And then the compounding effect takes place. This is called learning out of control. It really is. Compounding mutates into irrational fears, paranoia, phobia, panic, terror, and sometimes possibly death. And death is really more of the suicide. Again, you see this on the news. Suicide deaths are up, and et cetera, which is horrible.
Yeah, much more of a pandemic.
Exactly. But it is the ultimate. Some people become so despaired that they're just like, I just can't do this anymore. Okay, they are already on the brink, and then everything is going on. The constant bombardment of all this just pushed them over.
Yeah.
So there's 3 general types of fear. You have self-preservation fear. This is a good fear. This is, I'm in immediate danger. This is, I'm out in the field and a lion is coming. That's fear. That's good. Okay. That causes a whole different type of biological reaction. Okay. The blood rushes away from your organs, goes into your arms and legs, so you have the energy and stamina to flee from the danger. So self-preservation fear is a good fear, but
So I
it's
just want
only
to jump in real quick. So
sure.
Sonia jumps in and says fear is contagious. It is. But
Yes.
so is love. So is humor. So is laughter. They're all contagious. It just depends on what you choose to jump on, which bandwagon you choose to jump onto.
Yeah. You
Right?
know, I'm gonna jump on that for just a second. When I was in college, I had a very, very good friend of mine, and he had this laugh. And we would go into a restaurant, and I'm just like, I just heard, do it, do it. And he would just start laughing.
Yeah.
And he would just keep going. And all of a sudden, the table next to us would start laughing. And then the table next to them would start laughing. And he would literally have this whole restaurant. Now, the people in the back of the restaurant never heard him laugh, but it's like a yawn. It just everybody, you see it, you hear it, and all of a sudden everybody just starts laughing. Why are you laughing? I don't know, but everybody else is laughing, and it just you can't help it, and
It's
it's
why,
awesome.
and a lot of people don't know this. Again, we're looking at the matrix and all what's going on out there, right? So a lot of people, well, I think some people picked it up, but in a lot of television shows, they intentionally put laugh tracks in there because they know it's contagious and to start to train you to laugh along with what they want you to laugh with and to keep you engaged in the experience. So they used to put it when they didn't have live audiences. They put laugh tracks in there at specific times, right? So they record people laughing and they put it in for that purpose because it increases the chance of the people watching to laugh along with what's going on, right?
Right, exactly. So the second fear is remembering of past fear. Something I experienced defines this moment. I spoke about that a little bit earlier. It's the same thing. Is that you're going to use that past fear, and that's the reliving of it again. Oh, this happened to me once before, or this could actually even be something that this happened to my auntie, or this happened to my brother, or this happened to, I heard of this happening to something. That's where past fear is so dangerous as well, because you can grab somebody else's past fear, which is kind of what Sony was actually kind of going in that direction. Is you can grab their fear, and we see that a lot on the news, on social media, etc. And you don't even really know if the story that you're hearing or reading is true, but somebody had, and possibly it does, but somebody is sharing this for what reason, you don't know. And then here's I think this is the worst, and this is in future fear. This is imagined fear. This is the what if scenario. Okay, so of these three, self-preservation, number one, self-preservation fear, number two, remembering past fear, or number three, future fear, which of these fears was the woman I was speaking about earlier? Which one of these was she feeling? One, two, or three? Mark it down in the comments.
There's a
This
delay.
is,
So just keep going and we'll keep a look at
yeah,
it.
no, that's great. Yeah, we'll get back into that. So as we said earlier, the infinity matrix responds to energy and reflects like energy back to you. Fear is an emotional energy, which in turn is the catalyst of the matrix. If the energy is backed by emotion, it's even more powerful. So if you continue to resonate fear, more of that type of energy will be reflected back to you. It'll start showing up.
Yeah, so you had a few people jumping in there and saying 3, future fear, 3
Yep.
was the comments that you were getting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where she was. She was living in the future.
With a little,
And just yesterday, I was another person that I do know was talking about things that are going on, and And I just flat out told him, I said, dude, I said, you're living in the future. None of this is happening.
And it goes back to our previous post, where we talk about future memories, right? It's
right.
And like,
yeah.
Well, if you're gonna put future memories out there, shouldn't
the right ones.
you prefer to
exactly
doing it anyways? So
right.
why not shift that and hack it to put what you want out there instead of what you don't want, and that's how you hack it, right? So again, we're not teaching you things you have to create from scratch. They're things you do anyways. We're just teaching you a way to really look at it and experience and be able to be in more control of it, to have a better experience of this thing we call reality.
Exactly. And we're not telling you to ignore what's happening in your life now.
Nope.
We're not
Remember,
telling you to
it's not
ignore
this or.
this. This
It's
is
not
this
this
is
or.
valuable information. Yeah, it's
It's not a
valuable. You
this
need to
or
know it.
matrix. It's a this and
Exactly.
right. Yeah.
Exactly. You read my notes? I've been reading my notes.
What are you gonna say that?
Okay, so your task, and that's where we're going with this, is to find something what resonates with you, that identifies with you. So when you have these events coming up, you're going, that's really interesting. Okay. But before you let that 15 seconds take hold, you say, you know what? I wish to do something about this. And you're creating a call to action. You're telling your mind, I want to do something about this. Now your mind was going, oh, no, fear, 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 fear. What? Oh, okay. Now you're giving me instructions. So the mind is no longer going off of it's natural, what it naturally does. It went, oh, you kind of did a reframe for it. And it's like, oh, all right. So a call to action. Well, I want to move forward so that that particular event does not happen in my life. Okay, so this is not done when you're doing this call to action. This is not done with judgment. It's not a value judgment. It's not a recognition that something must be acted upon. You simply stay neutral. And this process will counter the current process that your mind wants to go through, and it'll refocus itself on the future that you prefer. So use your fear and anger as a tool. They're there, and they're always going to be there. What we're showing you is they can be a tool. They're something that you can use. So when you experience anger and fear, accept the fact that you did, and be thankful that you have tools to correct it, which is what Gary's going to give you later on. But take it further, asking yourself, what caused this? Why was I triggered so much by this? Again, we go into that compounding effect that we're all feeling now. So how can I use this experience to learn and grow from? And also keep in mind that the stronger the fear or the anger, the closer you are to releasing it. It's closer to the surface. Let's say this is the surface. It was here. Now it's eventually kind of coming up here. Okay. So it's closer to just getting out of you, which is a good thing. So think of that fear like a cornered animal fighting to survive. It's going to push and it's going to push and it's going to push because I don't have any other choice. But you have the choice. So most people want to just forget about it. Okay, let's just let's hope it just never happens again. Ultimately, it will. I said, but you are not most people. That's why you're here, to be better today than you were yesterday. All right, so here's something else. This is a very, very powerful tool. Most don't actually understand how powerful this is. Write this down. Very important. This will be the key. Forgiveness. That is your most powerful technique, your most powerful tool. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness, it's a state of being. It's actually a mechanism of doing. Okay? Forgiveness isn't a feeling. Forgiveness is something that you do. Forgiveness is something that you receive. So it can be an action and a verb at the same time, or a noun and a verb at the same time. So, do you want to forgive yourself, or are you forgiving others? Actually, it's a vibration that has the ability to actually neutralize the negative consequences of the negative choice someone may have made. There we are, back to choices again. You know that everything you choose to do will have a physical reality of some form, of some consequence, of some outcome. Yes, I know I said everything, my all-encompassing word, but this is to serve my purpose at this particular point. It has that profound effect of allowing you to be free to forgive yourself and others and come back into alignment. This is where we begin to understand and practice of neutrality for any kind of consequence of a choice. It might have been something negative from our past. So forgiveness is the easiest and fastest solution for resolving fear and anger. However, it's the most underrated of all tools. If you find yourself in a situation, then it's time to ask yourself why. For myself, I found it to be a pride thing. Once I recognized how idiotic it was easy to resolve. I'm not gonna forgive that person. I'm too proud, or I'm too mad, or I'm too angry. Okay, but there really wasn't anything I was mad or angry at the past, and maybe from the future, but mostly then. So these little things, they build and they compound themselves in our mind, and you may think it's not affecting you, but it probably is. So we want you to really understand this module. Your anger, your fear makes you vulnerable to the outside forces of the world. And a stressed mind becomes a slave mind. It's easily controlled and manipulated. And ultimately, if the mind is stressed enough, it will believe and accept anything that promises it relief.
Yeah, and I to kind of follow up on that. So has anyone here ever heard of a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza? If you haven't, you got to jump on Joe's stuff, because we really fall in alignment with a lot of what he does. And Joe talks about this thing called getting to a place of heart and brain coherence. And he's broken down a lot of the science of it and done a lot of experiments on it and measuring brainwave frequencies and all of that. And I think that's what true forgiveness is all about. Is this place of heart and brain coherence, a place where real miracles can happen, right? Greg Braden, if you know Greg Braden, he also talks a lot of really great stuff as well. He calls them the ancient codes. The ancient Hawaiians, the kahunas used to call it the ho'oponopono, which is making things right. So whatever you call it, whatever tool you use to achieve it, it can really be truly transformational. And it's a practice, right? It's a practice until it becomes a habit. So it's not a one-time thing. It's not something that it's a fix-all. It's a practice, as is all of the hacks we're giving you. And so I put together a pretty cool tool for you to hack that I've created that combines a few different things, from brain gym to neurolinguistic programming to a variety of different things kind of blended into one for you. And we're going to go through that. So, but the first thing I think, as I talked about earlier, is we have to look at well, let's start with this. Let's get a list of emotions and moods that you can come up with. Everybody that's here, we have 100 or so people, at least on the stream that I'm looking at, let me know what emotions do you go through on a day-to-day basis, right? So let's see what kind of variety we have coming up. So just start putting them in the chat there, and then I'll take a look at it. And as you do that, well, let me do that first. Let's see where they're at. So, Ross had mentioned some common ones, and he's talking about a few so far. But what are some emotions that you feel on a day-to-day basis, just so we see? So we got frustration from David, and I'll just kind of show them on the screen as they come in, or at least some of them anyways. I see a bunch of you are loving Dr. Joe and Greg Braden.
Guys are brilliant.
Definitely people you should have on your playlist for sure. Hopelessness, sadness, happiness, anger, frustrating, brain gym, yes, and fear and worry. So, okay, good. Okay, now they're coming too fast. Okay.
There's that delay.
Anger, irritation, good. Okay, so even though we're getting a pretty decent list from what Ross and I would consider some pretty woke people that attend our streams, I think I'm gonna just switch you out here, Ross, so I can get an image in. So,
please.
Right. So I think that let's start with looking at these, right? So I'll minimize me. So this is just some, right? So a lot of times what happens is, like I said, we limit our description of what our emotions are. Therefore, we limit our capacity to, number one, experience them all, and number two, be in control of the real emotion that's going on when it's going on, right? So there's those ones. So let's switch those out. And then there's these ones. So you see so these ones are more feelings. So there's feelings, emotions, moods. They come up with there's a variety of them that we feel, but we don't label them, right? We don't label them properly is probably a better way to say it. But there are things we experience because there's a slight difference for someone. There can be a slight difference between anger and frustration. But if you call it all anger, it's your capacity to be in control of it is drastically reduced, right? Your capacity to understand the mechanism of what's going on to create that feeling or that emotion or that mood is drastically reduced, right? So I think the first thing we need to do is we need to extend and broaden our lexicon, our vocabulary of emotions, right? I compiled a list, and I think I was at 890 different emotional words, right? And when you can make that refinement and distinction of what exactly you're feeling, your ability to pinpoint it, deal with it, resolve it, or increase it if you need to, because there's positive emotions here too, right, is greatly increased. Right. So let me just get that out. There we go. Okay. So the first thing to understand is that whatever the emotion is, we've grown to become very narrow in our description of what, how, and where we feel things. And because of this, it has become more challenging to truly have control over those emotions, those states of beings, those moods, whatever it is you want to call them. I mean, how can you have control? How can you control something if you can't even properly describe it or how it's impacting you? Right? Can you guys get that? That having that ability to be pinpoint, and this is just the English language. I mean, right? So those of you that are reaching us globally, you've got your own words for certain emotions that are different and probably have different flavors than the ones we have in the English-speaking community, right? So so here's a powerful hack that I made up, again, borrowing from a few different disciplines. The first thing to understand or to remember, though, is that in the infinity matrix, as we continue to promote and talk about, that there's no this or that, right? Which means that there isn't just positive or just negative emotions, right? There are only emotions. We need to remember that there's only emotions. So instead of telling yourself that you need to only feel or focus on the positive emotions, I'm going to suggest something probably a little different from what you're normally used to hearing. Okay. And I'm going to suggest that there's a way that we can be in more choice by accepting that for every emotion that you thought of or could ever think of, the absolute opposite also exists at the same time. So listen to this carefully, okay? For every emotion that you've thought of or could ever think of, the absolute opposite also exists at the same time. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what to compare the one you're choosing against. You wouldn't have a buffer of reality to say this is this and that's that. Right? So what does that mean exactly? Well, if you say that right now you're feeling confused, you have to have you have to be accessing the opposite, whatever that is for you. So maybe it's clarity, right? So from confused to clarity, maybe those are the opposites for you. So if that's the case, if confused is the feeling, you have to be accessing clarity at the exact same time to compare the feeling of confusion to know that you're feeling confusion. Right? It's a comparison to know that you are not feeling something entirely different. Right? It's the opposite color. It's the opposite color dot in the yin yang that we spoke about last week. Each side of that reality cannot exist without the other. It's impossible. So the more accurate way to say it is that you're feeling confused and clarity, but your focus is currently on the confused experience that you're getting. You guys get that? You really should get this, because it's going to be super empowering when you tune in to understand that whatever level of depression or anxiety you're at, you have to be feeling and experiencing the other side of it, but ignoring it in order to know that you're feeling what you're feeling. So that means you have choice. And that's a powerful, powerful place to be. Right? So if you're getting it, I want you to hashtag and type hashtag clarity if you're following along. Right? Michelle says, "Wow, very interesting." Savannah says, "Yeah, no totally black without white and vice versa." Absolutely, right? So this is a major hack, you guys. If you really get what I'm presenting here for you, and the beauty is that if they're happening simultaneously, what's the difference? What's the difference when you're feeling deep depression, anxiety, worry, fear, whatever the negative side of those excellent, a ton of hashtag clarities. Good. What's the difference then? What's the difference when you're feeling that side as opposed to that side? It's the choice, right? It's coming from the choice convergence point and deciding which side you're going to experience. Now, there's a lot of things that go into how you make those choices, which will eventually unfold and uncover. But the key is to know that you have choice. Okay, and that's a powerful. And every stream we talk about, we keep coming back to that because it's such a, no pun intended, such a central theme and focus of what we're all about, right? So excellent. I'm glad to hear you guys are all chiming in on that and getting that, because it's a really, really powerful shift for you. So let's go over this super cool hack for you today. All right, and I want you to pick an emotion, positive or negative, doesn't matter to me, okay, for this hack. So just pick one of either the ones that I had on the screen, or one that you wrote, or one that you're thinking of or feeling right now, okay? And just pick one emotion that you're going to hack for 7 days in a row, okay? And then you can switch and do another one after that. But again, remember, this is a practice until it becomes a habit, until you get strong and good enough at one. Then you can move on to the other. Otherwise, you don't get good enough, and then you'll feel frustration from it. And then you'll forget that frustration also has the opposite side, which is clarity. So you got to go back into the practice again. So so pick one. The more you do this with the different emotions, so week after week, picking a different one when running through this hack, the more flexible you will be in the emotions you experience, the life experience you have, the more resourceful you'll become, and you'll truly start to master your emotions. You will know at any time you're feeling anything, it's by choice. 100%. Okay, good. So we got some, to pick that one, whatever it is, positive or negative, right? And then I want you to imagine, let me just get my screen in alignment with me here. I want you to imagine, come on, there it is. I want you to imagine the infinity sign. Any infinity sign would do, we just like ours. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick one side of the infinity sign. Actually, imagine this infinity sign in front of your eyes, so spatially right in front of you, kind of like right here. And so wherever you're looking or watching this, kind of have it like, right about eye level. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to pick one side of the infinity sign that you feel that emotion, whatever you chose, that emotion fits best on. It could be the right side, it could be the left side, whatever it is, doesn't matter. When you choose that side that fits best for that emotion, I want you to imagine putting that word on that side. Okay, so for example, if your emotion was overwhelmed, then it seems to fit best on the right side, then imagine the word overwhelm on the right, like in the loop of the right side of the infinity, right? So in the loop on that side. Okay, my right, your left, whatever it is for you on the screen. All right, and so once you've got that, then I want you to think of what the opposite of that emotion is. What's the absolute opposite end of the spectrum of that emotion? Okay, if you don't know a word for it, right, then what you do is on the others, because what we're going to do is put the other one on the other loop, right? So we're going to put it in the other loop on the other side. If you don't have a specific word for it, because you kind of got to, get out your thesaurus or whatever, or Google it or whatever, then what you put on the other side is, so if the one side is overwhelmed, put on the other side, not overwhelmed, because that's the opposite. And that's good enough. Okay, your brain will understand and know what that is. Okay, your body will understand the difference between overwhelm and not overwhelm. Okay, so what if it's a specific word, and as you build your lexicon for emotions, you'll have better idea of what fits right there for the opposites. Okay, if you had something on the positive side, what's the opposite of that on the negative side? Okay, so I saw someone put joy. Well, what is not joy? Right, and have them both in the matrix, the infinity sign in front of you. Okay, now once you have them on each side, okay, I want you to, and I'll switch out here back and forth between the infinity and me. What I want you to do is I want you to clasp your hands. switch to, there we go. Okay. I want you to clasp your hands like this in front of you, okay, right about eye level, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to keep your eyes stuck on the thumbs, okay, as they stick up. So I want you to clasp them like that. Put the thumbs in the middle of the infinity sign, right on what we call the choice convergence point, okay? I want you to go ahead and do that, and just keep your eye on the thumb, all right? Now, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to start on the side of the first emotion, whatever it was that you chose. And so whether it's on the positive or the negative side, doesn't matter. But whatever you chose first, we're going to start to trace the infinity loop, keeping your arms stiff and straight out like this, okay? Keeping your eyes on the thumb as you trace. So we're not going to move our head around, okay? We're just going to move our eyes. So stick it here like that, right? In the center. We're going to go down on the side, on the first side, first emotion. We're going to start to trace the infinity loop, right? Like this, with the arm extended, and then keep your eye on the thumb. So as I'm doing it, I'm doing the loop as big as I can to that side, okay? As I do that, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to think about the full spectrum of that emotion, meaning where you have it, who you have it with, when you've experienced it, any memories, the extreme of it, and then the starting of it. Okay, so on that side, we're gonna just think about that whole experience of that first emotion and come back to the central conversion point. Then we do the same thing on the other side. We're going to take it, watching just the eyes only. And those of you that know Brain Gym, that's kind of what we're working on right now. So we're going to just watch the other side all the way down, thinking about the full experience of that emotion on the opposite side. Okay, and just being aware of what both those are. Do that a couple of times. So we're just going down, we're just thinking about what is all of that emotion? What is all of that emotion? To whatever capacity that you can. All right. Now, as you're tracing them, so you do that a couple of times just to get a sense of what both sides are like, right? Always come back to the CCP, what we call the choice convergence point. So that's a CCP. All right. So that I don't have to say all the words every time. So now that you're at the CCP, we're going to do the same thing again, now that we know what both sides are like, and we get more reference of what those, the scope of both of those are, right? Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go over and over each side. Okay, so I'm going to break this down and then kind of put it together. So first thing is we're going to keep the hand straight. We're going to go around, keeping the eye on the thumb all the way around, keeping the eye on the thumb, and kind of tracing that infinity sign in front of us. Okay, so that's the action we're going to do with our body. Okay, as we're doing that, we're keeping our eye on there, and then verbally, right, what we're going to do is as we're tracing that, what I want you to do is I want you to say verbally, I know what it's like to experience whatever the emotion is on this side. So maybe it's overwhelm, right? As you're on this side, you're going to say, I know what it's like to experience overwhelm. Then when you get to the other side, I know what it's like to experience clarity. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed. I know what it's like to feel clarity. And you're going to do that 10 times. Okay? As you do that, you always come back to the central convergence point and you end there. Okay, and so you can I know what it feels like, or I know how to experience this. I know how to experience, or I know how that feels. The languaging is really your own personal preference, but you get the idea. You're distinguishing the two and then coming back to the central point, and knowing that from the central point they both always exist. Okay, you do this for 7 days with one primary emotion and its opposite, and you'll hack the matrix so that the degree to which you focus on experiencing either of those emotions will be 100% within your control. All right, so what I'd like you to do is do that for 7 days. Come back and tell us how in situations that are similar to the past ones where you used to automatically drop into that emotion, tell us how it's different. Come back and let us know how you see things differently, how you hear things differently, how you react and respond differently to those around you, how they react and respond differently to you. All right, let me just grab Ross back in here.
Hey, I'm back.
So that's your hack for today. We'll post the steps for that later today in the post, so you can kind of grab the steps. And also, if you're in the group, then you can catch it on the units tab and catch a review. We'll put it there as well.
Right.
But yeah, doing this for your emotions, and then doing this with like having a list of different emotions and working through them, your capacity to know when to feel either side to serve you in the moment is greatly increased, and your ability to step out of one when it's not serving you also increases, because you know you have choice and control at any time. Right? And to take this and to blow your mind even more, okay? So if we go back to this, right, in the central, all the variations on one side of that emotion, guess what? They have mini infinity matrix of the opposites as well. It'll blow your mind. So that's what I'm telling you. Just pick one. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll get into the holographic universe.
In your mind. Yeah.
That'll be for the 5-hour live stream.
Yeah.
But it's awesome stuff.
Yeah. And by doing this, so there's a few things you're doing here. Number one, you're rewiring the neural circuitry of your brain by doing that with your eyes and making that shift. And by verbally, affirming that, hey, yes, I do understand and know how to feel that full spectrum. Yes, I do know how to understand and feel that spectrum. You are then reaffirming to your unconscious mind that you are in choice and in control at any given time during that whole process of flow. Okay, so. Let us know how you experience this, and especially test it out on, again, be active, participants in testing these hacks, so that you can experience it and you can share with others. And if you need tweaking or adjusting for you, because everybody's different, then come into and let us know. Talk to us in the chat. We respond and reply, and we try to get to everybody all the time as much as we possibly can. Let us know, and then we'll jump in and support you. And if you're new to the group, other group members will jump in and support you as well. So the one thing I want to touch on before we head out is that's your hack for today. But next week we'll be announcing the 7-day Infinity Matrix Hacking Challenge that we're going to be putting out there and presenting, and we're going to be looking for candidates who want to make some real life, some life and reality altering shifts that will ripple beyond the 7 days. Okay, this isn't going to be for everybody. It's going to be for people that are serious about wanting to make some drastic shifts in 7 days. We're going to talk to you about that challenge and what's going to take to qualify, what's going to include it, and all that kind of. The challenge will start in March, but we want to start talking to people about and gather the right group of participants for that. But we'll tell you more about what that is, and starting next week, and we'll continue to bring that to light. And so what's the name of the group? Alka is saying the name of the group is facebook.com/groups/the Infinity Matrix. And I'll drop the link in. It should come in the text there. If not, then we'll manually come and do it as we go through the messages here. So keep an eye on the comments, and we will let you know. All right. And I think till then, make sure you remember to join the group if you haven't joined it. Again, I posted the info. It's running along the bottom here too. You'll see a ticker, like just tickering along the side bottom here. Join the group. when you get there, answer the questions. We're noticing that some people are and some people aren't. We're about 50-60% that are doing it. That 40% that doesn't, you're getting booted, so you're not going to get the content. You just got to answer the questions and kind of let us know you're going to be interactive. And if you choose to be a part of the VIP, that's the third question, then you can choose to be that, and then the VIP exclusive stuff will go to you when we get all this connection stuff sorted out.
Exactly. So I'll tell you, the only thing I'm going to add to that is, if you think that the micro hacks are pretty cool, wait until you get into the macro hacks.
You guys, I'm telling you, you're gonna blow your mind, man. We're gonna literally unplug you, and it's gonna be like that, right? So, so Alka said, where can you watch the session again? In the group, under the tabs that says units. All of the previous stuff we've done is there, so you can kind of go back and read the titles of what they are and jump into the one that resonates with you, where you're at, what you need to hear. Definitely start with the first one, so you understand what the infinity matrix is, and from our eyes and from our perspective, it's a good place to start. And then you can kind of jump through the others as you feel that pulls you and that you need where you are in your life. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I just put the group link in on both streams too. So
yeah. We'll put it on. We'll add it in.
Everything you need.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody. And micro, it's okay, done, good. Thanks, great guys. Awesome. We're watching. Yes, awesome. Great. And remember to let us know how things are going, you guys. We're not just here talking for the sake of talk. Like, we do like to talk, but that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this so you have tools that are changing and shifting your reality and your life experience. So let us know, in the comments. Drop a comment into us. If it's personal and you want to share outside of that, by all means, PM message Ross and I, and we'd be happy to take that and accept that from you. And with your permission, we'll share it. If you don't give us that, we'll just keep it to ourselves and just feel that from our heart and know that we're creating an impact the way we want to. All right.
Exactly. That's our goal.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
In the world.
Once again, have a great week, and we will speak with you next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Okay.